Welcome back to the Real Intelligence Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Swim, and I'm so glad you're here today. How many of you have ever built something? Maybe you've built a home. Maybe you've built a doghouse. Maybe you've built a chair. Maybe you've built a Lego. Whatever it is that you've built with your kids, by yourself, in your home. When you build something, you have to have some sort of vision, visual reference of what that thing is going to turn into. Whether it's a picture, whether it's a blueprint, something that lets you see the outcome, right? And then you go step by step to build that thing, to create whatever it is you're hoping to create. As we go into 2026, we go into this new year, I find that it's really common for us to go right to the steps without seeing the overall vision or blueprint. Oftentimes people want to develop goals, set resolutions, but they're not really actually sure what they're creating. So understanding what I'm creating, the vision for that outcome is really helpful before I set those goals or those resolutions or those steps that I'm taking in the creation process. Today, I want to spend a little time talking about visioning and why it's a precursor to a resolution or a goal and how you might use it, whether in your business, your parenting, your professional life, to have a different experience with a new year. Most people, when they make a New Year's resolution, are hoping for one of three things. And I say hoping probably for a reason, because oftentimes we resolve, but we have no plan and no vision, right? They're hoping for better health in some way. They're hoping to lose weight. They're hoping to exercise more. They're hoping to eat better. They're hoping for financial changes, right? Pay off debt, to save more money, get in a better financial position. And they're often hoping for better wellness, better relationships, work-life balance. Those are the top three according to surveys. Maybe you resonate with one of those and you're like, yes, Jenny, that is what I'm working on this year. Fantastic. If it's something else, fantastic. Whatever it is for you, I'm going to invite you to step back for just a minute. Whatever that thing is that's been on your mind, and maybe you're thinking, I actually don't have anything on my mind. I don't like a start to a new year. I just feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed out and like I'm supposed to come up with some fancy word for the year. And I don't even know what I'm going to do for dinner. Like I'm not even there. That's okay too. I want to introduce this tool or just offer this tool of visioning as another support when you go into something fresh, when you go into a new opportunity, a new year, a new time, a new phase in your life, and you want to do it with intention. And perhaps in the past, if a resolution or a goal hasn't worked for you, this may be an option that you might find helpful. See what might resonate and what might land for you. Of course, use your own intelligence to decide what doesn't and let that be set aside. This is about you and what works best for you. Notice if there's anything here that might stand out for you that might change the way you approach a new year, a new opportunity, a new phase or time in your life. Okay, so first of all, let's step back and let's just level set again with what is intelligence? Intelligence, again, is how we understand and move through the world, really to get the things we want, to move toward what matters to us. So anytime we're moving in the world, right, we need to orient to what is around us. What are we hoping for? What are we actually building? Anytime we have something fresh and new, it's a great time to pause and to just go back to the blueprint, go back to the image, go back to the thing that we are hoping to build, and remember that vision. What is it that I am trying to create? Now, perhaps it's too much to say, what am I creating for my whole life? Maybe we just need to take this year. What do I hope for in this year with my mental health, with my physical health, spiritually, emotionally, socially, financially, whatever it might be for you, whatever category you're looking at? What am I hoping to create? Once we have a vision, then we resolve to commit to something. That's our next step. We have the vision, we resolve, and we commit to something. Once we have that, we can identify specific goals, specific measures, structures, outcomes, so that we really take our vision and we put it into action, we're able to execute on it. So we actually need all three. But oftentimes, if we're finding that we're getting stuck in our resolutions or stuck in our goals, it's because our vision is not clear. Depending on the job, you need a different tool. So let's just pause to notice, what are these tools and how might you be using them to really advance your journey forward versus feeling cumbersome or burdensome and like an obligation. And again, apply this to yourself personally, apply this to your business goals, apply this to your family goals. How might you see these matching for you? Okay, let's start with a goal. A goal is a specific measurable outcome that you want to achieve within a defined time frame. So a question to ask yourself might be, do I already know what I want and roughly how to get there? If the answer is yes, then a goal is probably a really great thing for you. So perhaps I know that I want to save a certain amount of money by the end of the year. That would be a specific, measurable, time-bound goal that I could set for myself, for my business, for my family. A resolution is defined as a firm, non-negotiable commitment to a change in behavior or pattern. And what's interesting about a resolution is it's often tied to our identity or our values. So for instance, I might have a resolution to stop working every night by 7:00 because I value having more of a work-life balance or spending time with my kids or really holding that boundary so I can have space to just decompress at night so that I can be the best version of me. Maybe that's what I need. Now, a question I might ask myself with a resolution is this something I'm ready to set a boundary around? Because I might be committed to having a great work-life balance, but if I'm not committed to establishing a boundary, I might not be ready to go there yet. I might still be on step number 1, which is visioning what I actually want, creating the blueprint, creating that picture in my mind. Okay, so that's the second one, is resolution. Okay, so the third one is visioning. Visioning, by definition, or how I'm defining it, is a strategic practice of exploring a future state. It's focusing on how life looks and feels rather than focusing on the how-tos, the structure or the mechanism for getting a specific outcome. It's just focusing again on that end result or that future state. This one's really helpful, especially if we're in a time of transition, recovery, or uncertainty. If any of those three exist, typically we're starting at visioning. A question you could ask yourself is, have I seen the outcome in my mind for what this looks like? An example of what a vision statement might look like is 3 months from now, like maybe that's the time frame in which I'm envisioning, okay, for the next 3 months. Within that time, I imagine finishing my workday, not feeling guilty that I'm stopping working, and being able to fully be present with my family. Okay, so there's not like a specific measurement, but there's not necessarily a boundary that I'm marking in the sand. I'm just visioning that what it's going to feel like when I can close my laptop and just walk away and go enjoy time with my family and be fully present in my home and attend to my physical or emotional or social needs. So to recap, goals are really helpful to organize us into action. Are you ready to take action? If you are, a goal would be a great fit. A resolution really establishes a boundary. Are you ready to establish a boundary around your values? If you are, a resolution is your step. If you don't really know the direction you want to go, you want to have an intentional year or experience in your life, but you're not really sure where to start, then visioning might be there for you. Again, we go visioning, resolution, and goals. And oftentimes these can just merge together. If I'm meeting with someone and we're working on a business plan or we're working on some sort of processing that they're doing, these can tend to blur together. But always we start with visioning, because oftentimes visioning is very expansive. It lets us see other possibilities and opportunities Whereas when we get to the point of goal setting, it's like a funnel. We're actually focusing down to those very granular details and steps we want to take. And if we've missed the visioning part, we might leave out some really important and significant decisions or steps or vision that is needed to get us to that ultimate outcome that matters to us. Again, if we use the example of health, which is a really common New Year's resolution for people, if I really want to be healthier, right, commit to increased health, but I don't really know, what does health even mean for me? What does that look like? Am I just adopting someone else's view of what that is? Or do I have my own created sense of what health looks like? Stepping back to create that picture or that image of health for me is going to make a huge difference before I get into the resolution or even the goal. Okay, so how does visioning work? Let me just step aside to share a little bit of the neuroscience, because I think it helps us recognize this isn't just like some magical, imaginative practice. This is actually utilizing some of how the brain already works so that we can have better outcomes. It's interesting to note the brain treats our imagined futures as real rehearsals. So when you vividly imagine a future outcome, your brain is activating many of the same neural circuits as if you were actually experiencing or performing that behavior. And this is really important because it primes our nervous system for that future action. This is called neural simulation. The brain doesn't strongly distinguish between our experience and just simply a well-imagined event. So we can really use this as a form of mental practice as we think about our future. So really, if we start back at the beginning with vision and we're very clear on that, we've already primed our system as we focus in tighter and tighter on our goals and our outcomes, because we've primed our mind, our heart, our body to be able to move to that outcome. Many of you might recognize that athletes will often engage in visualization practices before an important game. A surgeon might do it before a surgery, or a musician before a performance. When I was younger, I was involved in sports, and we had a sports camp where we talked specifically about visualization and how we might use that in our game. As part of this, the instructor had us imagine, just in our mind's eye, that we were walking to our kitchen, that we found a lemon and we cut it into sections, and we took one of those sections, those lemon sections, and we bit into it. And we could feel that lemon juice just squeezing into our mouth. We could smell that fresh lemon scent. I don't know if you're experiencing a puckering sensation just listening to me talk about this, but I was so fascinated at that younger age to recognize I was having a simulated experience as though I was actually eating the lemon without touching one, right? This was all happening in my mind. I was amazed at the power of my mind to produce a biological response. So how might we use this then in our process of creating an intention and a plan for whatever that new situation is in our life? I'm going to offer a visual model. It's a neuroscience-informed framework called SEE, like I'm seeing my future. How we engage with this is to start with the S, which is to see the future moment. And I suggest oftentimes when I'm working with someone in this process that we really take a minute to go inside. So it's best to do this part, use this visioning tool in a quiet space where you aren't interrupted, where you maybe have a minute to close your eyes or soften your gaze and really come into you. Because again, real intelligence is not being in groupthink, right? It's being in your path, in your lane, in your life. And so really being able to separate from all the other things around you and really coming into you, even if you're doing this from a business standpoint, really considering your role, my role in this organization and my role in this work, and visioning from that standpoint. Same in a family organization, your role in that family dynamic, really coming from that place. So when we start with this quiet space, we start with this S, which is to see the future moment. So this is where we step into that vision. If I'm going to see the blueprint of 2026, not the details of the blueprint, but I'm going to see the home that's created from this blueprint. I'm going to see the Lego creation in pictures. I'm going to see the cake fully baked and frosted and sitting on my counter. We're not worried about all the steps to get there. What we're looking at is that desired result. We're looking at the vision of what that is. So how might we do that? First, we need to choose a specific time frame, right? Am I looking at the whole year? Am I looking at 6 months? Am I looking at the first quarter? And then we also want to narrow it down to what specifically am I focusing on? So maybe health matters to me, or my wellness matters to me, or my finances are common to many people when they set a New Year's resolution. Maybe I'm just taking one of those. Maybe there's another one for you that I haven't listed. Whatever it is, narrow it down to that as well. If I could look at my health in 2026, let me get a vision for what is that? What does that look like for me? Not for my neighbor, not for all the experts, but what does that look like according to my situation? Let yourself go there. See that future moment, that future outcome. What is that picture? Now, the second step is the E. We're going to experience now. How does that feel? So if health is mine and I'm imagining what that health looks like for me, I'm imagining in my mind's eye that I just got off a run that I've been doing regularly, then how I experience that would look like, what does it feel like for me when I just came off that run? What am I noticing around me? How does that wind feel in my face as I'm running and my body is so beautifully supporting me in that run? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? Right? I'm really creating a vivid, imagined reality for this experience. And that allows more of those neurons to fire and create that for me. So I'm really tuning into the felt sense of that experience, whatever that is for you. Maybe you want more family time and you're imagining that what does it look like to have more family time? What am I doing when I have family time? What are the behaviors that are there? What are the feelings that are there? What am I noticing around me? What am I thinking? How does my posture feel? What are the sensations? And you're really recognizing, you're really painting that picture. Where are we in our family room? Are we outside? What am I wearing? What are we doing? Okay, and the second E, or the last step in C, is to extract the next true step. So again, visioning is not resolution setting or goal setting, but there is a next step. So perhaps if I take my health vision and I see myself running, I see my body working so well, there are definitely some goals that I'm going to need to set to get there, or some resolutions. But the first step, perhaps as I see that vision, is maybe for me, I notice, oh, my feet need some good support. Maybe I need some shoes, some running shoes. Or perhaps the next first step for me might look like, oh, I should really see if there's a path I could take to start walking, right? Because maybe I'm not ready for running. Whatever that is for you, what is the next step? Just one little doable step. This is not a whole plan. We are not even creating a goal. We're not creating a resolution. All we're doing is saying, what could that be? Again, this is visioning. I can still, once I'm done with my vision, I can choose, do I want this? Is this a vision I want to choose into or not? According to my values and what matters to me. But I'm looking at possibilities. I'm seeing what might be here for me. And out of that, I get one small doable step. So this is the C model, SEE. See the future, experience how it feels, and extract one doable step. as we come out of this, we typically have that painted picture. And then we can move to, okay, what am I resolved to do? Now that I've seen this, I've felt it, I've experienced it, what am I committed to? Once I establish that commitment or resolution, then I can create some goals. Okay, I am committed to running this year, running in 2026, to having that be a part of my regular life. Great. What are the goals out of that? Then I'm going to create some specific, measurable, time-bound goals that help me get to that place. So let's recap. This is the time of year when we get a fresh start. And maybe that's really exciting to you. And maybe you're someone who's like, I have been there, done that. And it is just stressful for me. And I feel overwhelmed and afraid that I'm going to fail. And it's not inspiring for me. It just feels a bit heavy for me. If that's the case, the invitation is to consider that perhaps we're skipping a step in the process, and perhaps we need to go back to envisioning the outcome. What is this desired thing we're building? What am I creating this year, this season, with this new job, with this new relationship? What do I want it to look like? I understand that not everything's in our control, but it's interesting to note that according to a TD Bank survey of entrepreneurs or small business owners, 1 in 5 used visioning tools. Of those who use visual tools, 76% said their business was now where they envisioned it would be. And 82% of them reported having accomplished more than half of the goals they included in their visioning. Those are significant results. Whatever you're choosing, whatever matters to you, hopefully, as we've talked today, there's something here in visioning that might help you find that inspiration, find that momentum, find that just next little step of movement. Visioning is really the designing process. I'm designing that future state. I'm painting the picture. And then I can step back and take the steps necessary to execute and define what that path is forward, to face the challenges that might be here, and to ultimately move in the direction that I want to go. A new friend shared her favorite quote from William Shakespeare's Hamlet. In this, Horatio says, quote, "There's a divinity that shapes our ends. Rough hew them how we will." End of quote. We oftentimes jump in and rough hew, if you will, our life. We create it, we mold it, we try to sometimes force it. And while that execution can be really helpful, my experience is that visioning does open to us new ideas and helps us access intelligence that is perhaps beyond our own. When we see the future, when we experience what it feels and let those neural pathways connect, and then when we take the very next step, we move from a place of controlling every detail to allowing breath and room for divinity to shape our ends, to be active and present in our lives, and in my experience, to have more meaningful engagement in creating our own stories from a deeper sense of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, please feel free to pass it along to someone who might find similar benefit. Until we meet again.